Well, it's noted that you and Karen and Dutch are going to be at the TV tapings, and Dave would even say Dixie Carter, even though she has a public title, is out and wasn't there. This was the restart with the new owners. It was very little different. They had the same talent, the same positions that they'd seemingly been in for months. And he would basically say that you and Dutch were brought in as consultants, Dutch as a creative consultant. So let's work backwards. When you are told, hey, this is going to be your thing, we want you to run it, I'm sure, I shouldn't say I'm sure, I imagine you thought, well, let me just go see how things are going now, see what we got. And I know I can trust Dutch to have my back and give me his honest take and 2 cents. So I'll bring Dutch along. Is that pretty much it?
It was three guys. Look, I'd like for Dutch to be a part of it. I like for Scott Demore to be a part of it. I like for Sanjay Dutt to be a part of it. That was the mindset. And Dutch, we'll call it the wise owl and creative, and just kind of get a sense and a vibe and everything that goes with that. Scott, I'll say essentially from a talent relations point of view, and Sanjay, kind of that overall blend of creative and talent and fresh ideas and everything that went with it. That was essentially the mindset of if I'm coming in to run wrestling operations, let's get the team in there sooner rather than later. I understand. Look, and at this stage, and we're right now, we're talking end of December, going into January. And I found this out later, and then much later in detail. And then obviously, you know, I had no idea on this deck of cards they were playing with. I wanted to see budgets early. Like, what are the budgets? What can and can't we spend on what are my guidelines? What are my, that was something that was very important to me is that, hey, Ed, you're a business dude, mergers and acquisitions, bottom lines, profits. I mean, he took companies and made a career out of, acquiring a company at X price and selling it at X price, or merging it. That's what he did. So I said, I need to have numbers on where we're going with things. That was, that was our first kind of, we'll call them speed bumps at first. They later became roadblocks, and then they later truly became pileups. It became a disaster just because I don't want to get too far down the road here, but that's where it really turned sideways, lack of clarity. But these early stages were, all right, if we're coming in and you want me to run wrestling operations, basically talent, creative, and have a say in the, the production as it relates to the finished product, which Kevin Sullivan later became an integral part of this conversation. So, yeah. And as I'm just sitting here talking about it, Conrad, the potential of where we were headed and where we ended up. Wow. Go ahead.
Talk to me a little bit about Karen. It's in the notes here that she actually comes to that first TV taping with you. Did you get her a gig, or is she there just as Jeff's wife?
No, she wanted to work, and she had a conversation without me, with Ed, and basically says, I'd like to be a part of whatever role you see fit. And they worked out their own deal on their own terms, on their own time.
What was her role supposed to be?
You know what? Again, back to titles, but let's just say probably something along of a creative liaison, maybe something along those lines.
What is a creative liaison? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah,
I know she's a hell of a performer on camera. I'm just wondering.
I'll call it, and that's what I was thinking. Were they still called the Knockouts division? I was going to say dealing with the female component of the industry.
I got you.
Whether it's makeup, whatever, talent relations. It's a different day and age. Having a female in talent relations, having a female in creative. I'm not saying writing the shows. That's why I hesitated.
But she would be a manager. She'd be in a management role overseeing the ladies' side.
Yes. That okay. In short, yes.
Okay. Got it.
And you know what I'm saying? Not just creative, not just talent relations, but a conduit. to deal with
if management needs information disseminated to the female side of things, Karen's going to go put a brave face on it.
Yeah.